respected Professor Avadhesh Kumar Singh ji, and then Professor Dilip Kumar Mohanta ji, then Professor Uma Shankar, Principal SIES College, Mumbai, then Professor Samini Chaitanya Pragna, and Professor Lakshmikant Padi. So I request all these speakers to kindly come to the dais. Yeah. Friends, first now I ask our honorable speaker, Professor Avadhesh Kumar Singh, who is a Vice-Chancellor of Auro University, Surat, to make his presentation. He will be delivering Gujarat Vidyapeeth lecture on Gandhian philosophy and peace. He is one of the prominent scholars on Indian philosophical tradition. When we met him last time in his office, we could interact with him, and he was very kindly expressing his views with regard to Indian philosophical tradition, which was really thought-provoking. So at that time itself, we thought that he is the fittest person for this endowment lecture. He was very kind enough to accept our invitation. Sir.
Esteemed Professor Bhatt Sahab, respected Shri Basant Patel Sahab, Swamiji, officials of Holistic Center here, and members of Indian Philosophical Congress. Let me thank all office officials for giving me an opportunity to speak on Gandhi and share whatever little I know about Gandhi and his views on peace and conflict resolution. Fortunately or unfortunately for me, I have 20 odd minutes left because I have to attend another meeting. Therefore, let me try to sum up what I have to say about Gandhi. The fact is that Gandhi has been received in multiple ways these days. On the one hand, he is reduced to mere icons. On the other hand, Gandhi is just remembered on 2nd of October. Next is that he is at times rejected. And therefore, the issue is that whatever Gandhi said and lived needs to be seen in the context, because he is one who has not been understood. At times, people from poetry understand these situations better than others. One of the poets in Gujarati said, "આપણા દેશમાં હજી સુધી કોણ ગયો છે ગાંધીના હૈયાને પાર સિવાય 3 ગોલીઓ." That is, in our country, who has gone through Gandhi's heart except for 3 bullets till now. Now, this is what a poet sums up, and that seems to be the predicament of a person who was so simple that he is difficult to understand and he is more difficult to follow. This is perhaps the irony, or this is the predicament of the souls who lived their lives in such a manner. Despite that, let me state it here that I would try to understand Gandhi in my own limited way. My embarrassing situation is that I'm speaking about Gandhi to philosophers, and I have committed many sins in my life, but I never tortured philosophers. So today I have that opportunity, so I'm sure philosophers here will forgive me for doing that. Before I enter Gandhi's views, 2-3 facts very briefly I will like to put before you. Period Gandhi lived in was a period of extreme violence. The period that preceded him was the period of rejection of colonial rule. And that was the time of height of colonial rule. Some of us would remember that in around 1815, 17% of the surface of the earth was colonized. By 1865, 67% surface of the earth was colonized. And by 1914, before the First World War, 85% surface of the earth was colonized by the Britishers and other European forces. This was a period of violence. In Indian context, it was 1857 that marked the period. That is, 1857 was in a way period of rejection of colonialism. 1857 war of India's independence, first war of India's independence. This rejection was followed by ambivalence because there were certain voices of reconciliation towards British. In Gujarat, we had Icharam Suriram Desai who wrote Hind and Britannia, and there was this Major Meadows who started speaking about reconciliation through works like Sita and others. Gandhi marks a phase when, after witnessing the period of exploitation and colonization, he rejected colonization absolutely in fullest possible terms in Hind Swaraj by 1909. Subsequently, the period that followed was the incident Jallianwala that shook him, and the two world wars and the communal conflict that flared up around partition and before that. Gandhi's views about peace have to be seen in the light of the events that were taking place around him. His relevance of his views on peace is that he lived subsequently to see two world wars and the 21st century that is called as the brightest, bloodiest and cruelest of centuries in human history. Some of us who have read Eric Hobsbawm will remember his statement that this was the century when organized violence continued and not even a single part, not even once, the earth was free from organized violence. 67 million people died in this century. The period we live in that makes Gandhi relevant, his views on peace relevant, is the period in which we see subtlest forms of violence. Mass scale, large scale, subtle forms of violence take place, and therefore we have to go back, scoop out Indian traditions and then find out who are the minds that spoke about it, and Gandhi would be amongst one of them. 3 texts that encapsulate his thoughts, basically, along with whatever he wrote in Harijan and other magazines. 3 texts, very central. They are Satyagraha in South Africa, Hind Swaraj, and third is My Experiments with Truth. Why are they central? Because in Satyagraha in South Africa, the categories, cognitive categories that Gandhi is finding, they are coming from the tradition. Gandhi ji doesn't come to Satyagraha all of a sudden. The book tells us that Gandhi, to fight against exploitation without being violent, was thinking of a term, and he called a meeting, and for that he wanted to propose a prize to find out a suitable term for the people in Africa. And the term that was found first was Sadagraha. And this term Sadagraha was later on forsaken in favor of Satyagraha. And the Satyagraha is the term that Dr. Rajendra Prasad ji, when he writes in the introduction to Pyare Lal's book, The Last Phase, Mahatma Gandhi, The Last Phase, on the very first page he says that Gandhi took Satyagraha from Patanjali, Niyam and Sanyam, and from there he extended and made use of this category for his own self. And that's why he did not go after the literal meaning of the term Satyagraha as holding on to truth, but to him Satyagraha meant truth force, soul force, and love force. He saw it in these contexts. When there is truth force, there is soul force, there is love force, then this truth and holding on to truth leads us to another context, and that is to move towards self-rule in terms of Swaraj. And then the truth that he experimented with. Some of us might say, if truth was God for him, then how could he make experiments with truth? Because you can't make experiment with God. So in Gandhi, both of these are eternal as well as contingent categories simultaneously. Therefore, there is a chain of thought in Gandhi, and to him, Satyagrahi was one who practiced Satya and Ahimsa, truth and non-violence. I would say Ahimsa as non-killing, killing in multiple forms, mansa, vacha, karmana, and so on. These three texts need to be read in particular to understand the evolution of cognitive categories in Gandhi that ultimately ruled his thinking. Next question then comes up, if it was peace, truth, and love, if they were interrelated, what was Gandhi's model? Gandhi's model for peace and non-violence was Mira. The question that is often asked, why did Gandhi name Magdalene Slade as Mira? Mira to Gandhi was a model of Karuna, she was a model of Prem, she was a model of Seva, and she was a model of Ahimsa. She was tortured, she suffered for her love for Lord Krishna, but what we find in the process is even the person who wanted to inflict, even kill her, Mira had no ill will towards the person. Ras ka pyala Rana bheja, Mira pipi hansi re. That is, the bowl of poison was sent by Rana, and Mira drank it with happiness. And rather she wished well of the people or the Rana who had sent this. So the answer to this is, in brief, Mira's model, Gandhi's model for peace was Mira. What was the basic category for Gandhi? Basic category for Gandhi, let me again sum it up, was the category of Tyag. On the surface, we might feel that how can Tyag be a category for peace and conflict resolution? Issue is, the major cause of conflict is greed. Major cause of conflict is exploitation. Major cause of conflict is human tendency to encroach upon human resources, intellectual resources, physical resources, and financial resources, and even cultural resources of others. Colonialism was a history of this particular thing. For this greed, Gandhi found an answer in the Upanishadic discourse. He was once asked, page 20-21, his essays on Hinduism, he said that when he was asked a question, how long will Hindu religion survive? Gandhi said, Hinduism will survive until and unless one hymn from Upanishads will survive. And that hymn, all of us know, and that hymn said, Isa Vasyadam, Om Isa Vasyadam, Yat Kinchityam Jagatyam Jagat, Ten Tyakten Bhunjitha, Magrad Kasyasva Dhanam. It is here that not to covet for others and then to lead life with renunciation, with tyag. So life attended by tyag, karma attended by tyag, and tyag attended by karma. It was not just the course of a sannyasin. That is the core that we find in Gandhi's view of view of peace. Because if greed is the cause of conflict, so peace is absence of conflict. And for absence of conflict, what is needed is tyag is needed. And once tyag is there, once renunciation is there, renunciation is possible only when we do renunciation out of our knowledge of truth and out of our love for others. That is, tyag leads us to prem, and prem leads us to karuna. So truth, that is satya, prem, karuna and sevas, they ultimately, all these are interrelated, interwoven concepts. And in Gandhi we find these eternal principles, Sanatan principles, to be there. And if we look at then, one term would sum up, one category would sum up and be related to other categories as such. The question then is, then what was the way ahead for Gandhi? He proposed 3 simple steps. One, he said, peace is good for all. Second is, for peace, we have to do sacrifice. Peace needs sacrifice. Sacrifice is, tyag is the precondition for peace. And third is, no power or system on earth can bring about peace, only sincerity of effort. So peace needs tyag, and tyag is not possible if it is not attended with sincerity of effort or karma. This is what we find in Gandhi. I don't want to deal with this, but we remember the famous statement of Gandhi. When he said, I would never give up, I would never forsake my country and love for my country, except for 2 situations, for truth and non-violence. Because truth and non-violence, if you do not subscribe to them, then you can give up even your country. So Satya and Ahimsa, these were the 2 principles very close to him, other categories that he took from other sources and then built around them. If we find then, what were these concepts and practices in Gandhi? I tried to enumerate them, and in a very bold and blunt manner, I will just read them out so that the enlightened mind here, they can correlate and they can work on them the way they feel like. These basic categories that in Gandhi we find, these categories include, 1, as I said, Satyagraha, Swaraj, then Samanta, that is equality, Sarv Dharm Sambhav, respect for all religions, Sauhardata, then Swadeshi, because he relates this to Satyagraha also, Sarvodaya, development of all, Sahishurta, which is at times loosely translated as tolerance, but it is not. Then Sanyam, restraint, Seva, that is service, and ultimately Shanti, that is peace. internal and external both. It is here what we find is that it begins, all these categories revolve around one category, and that is tyag, and ultimate end of tyag is shanti, peace. Shanti within and it is outside. We know that his views that he had may be very radical, may be very extremist. We may find that these views pertaining to such peace may not be practicable at the moment. But the methodology that he used to arrive at these conclusions, arrive at these categories, that still holds good for us. The world is witness to the fact that if we have to think in terms of eliminating conflict, then we have to go to minds like Gandhi, particularly Gandhi, because he considered ahimsa or non-violence or non-killing to be the best of the instruments for the general good of humanity, for the survival of humanity. All of us know what he said when he was informed about the fact that Hiroshima and Nagasaki has been bombed. Towards the end, let me say one thing, that peace is indispensable for human evolution and humanity. If we don't subscribe to peace, if we don't practice peace, it is possible that our survival becomes a questionable entity. It may become an optional thing. So, for human evolution, for human sustenance, for human growth, and for humanity to further evolve into a better human being, peace is the concept, peace is the practice that need to be taken up. Gandhi can be one. There are multiple other models that can be explored. And I think that one of the best ways is to make a comparative study of different models that we have. I won't consider Gandhi as a philosopher of peace or a practitioner of peace. But I would certainly consider him as an ardent proponent of peace and practitioner of peace in his own way. I wish all philosophers here, all centers on the earth, particularly like holistic center here, they would contribute to peace, which on the surface when we see things around us appears to be a casualty these days. But I have full hope that the cosmic energy that is there in the surface through the minds of great sages, great thinkers, Gandhi be one of them, would certainly mentor us, guide us, and bless us to find better ways. Thank you very much.